Enjoy this enlightening conversation with naturopath and weight loss coach Alanna at Natural Minta, going into effortless weight loss, eating an abundance of fruit. Blessings, everyone. We're back for the second live of the day for day 5 of the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle. Today I'm going to be bringing in Alanna from at Natural Minta as we're going to talk about effortless weight loss while eating an abundance of fruit. This is a fun topic. We're both a part of the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle, available only until the 12th at 11:59 p.m. PST. And then it's gone for an entire year, and it's all new every time, completely different. If you've ever got any other bundle, none of the books in here are repeats. You do not have any of them whatsoever, and it's available in both of our links in bio at Natural Minta, as well as mine at the Raw Advantage. We're going to go into this topic as Alanna has an amazing book in the bundle. Hey, Alanna, how you doing?
Hey, Chris. Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'll admit I'm a little hungry because I haven't gotten to breakfast yet. So that was
Oh,
but I'm peeling this banana and I'm going to munch a couple bites so that my brain continues to work. Because without banana power, I have no brain power.
nice. It's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
I just as a heads up, I can't see you for some reason. I don't know
Oh
why this
no,
does this to me. It's okay.
please.
I can hear you. I can hear you. It's just like I have a black screen, so if I'm not reacting to facial expressions, that's why.
Oh, so you can't see yourself either, and you don't see that green
I
stuff in your teeth right now.
I
Oh,
see
you okay? Oh no.
I see the broccoli coming out of my mouth, but I can't see you.
No. Well, I do want people to comment below to let me know if they can see me, because hopefully people can see both of us. Yeah?
Okay, someone said we can see you. Nice.
Okay. Yeah, I've been
Awesome.
having a little
Thank
bit
you.
of internet troubles today, it seems. My last interview, I got a little bit pixely, and on my side, you're a teeny bit pixely as well. But people can let us know if you can see us good enough, and hopefully, again, everyone can hear us. That's the most ideal for sure.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Thank you, RX Coaching Solutions.
Thank you indeed. So, your new book in here, Weight Management and Family Health, and it's also a cool coloring book, which is really beautiful and super amazing. Obviously, kind of fitting with this kind of topic. I have to ask you a question right off the bat. Should I stop eating bananas? Are they really fattening? Am I just going to turn into a lardo if I keep on eating these?
Oh my God, you should stop right now.
I'm done. I'm
Oh
done.
my
I'm
gosh,
I'm
yeah.
just going to become breatharian.
It's unfortunately, yeah, a lot of people still believe that eating fruit has like too much sugar and that they shouldn't be eating it. And I feel like in the past, like I never really thought like, oh, should I be eating like less fruit? But I think I was doing it without even realizing it before I learned what I know today. Just like it seems crazy to think about it that way, but yeah, I think that there's still a lot of people that believe that fruit has way too much sugar in it and they have to be careful about not eating so much of it. And then
It's sad. Makes me
yeah,
want to
it's
do
sad.
this. Like I want to get a teardrop tattoo because I want to do that every time I hear it.
It's yeah, it's really sad, and it's also like watching, the children, our future, like also at school. I know here in France, like they do serve fruit sometimes, but I also see like there are many days where they'll give them snacks and it's like white bread and chocolate, and I'm like, come on, guys, like this is bad. Like I don't know, I feel like it's like a double standard. It's like some people look at food and be like, there's way too much sugar, but then again, they'll be giving their kids like packaged cookies and things like that. So yeah, I don't know like where this like thought has like been implanted in people's brains, but it definitely is still there for some people. I think it's getting better. How about you? Do you think that over time people are realizing that?
You know, it's sometimes it's hard because we're in our little bubble, and and sometimes it's like it amazes me. But I mean, I do still see even like prominent doctors or like people with like million followers on YouTube and blah 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 who have some nutritional training talk about how fruit is bad and how it's going to cause insulin spikes, and they are just so out to lunch. But I think one of the big components that really is pushed home by all the recipe books and all the information in the bundle is that one of the important things about, having a great blood sugar response is keeping it lower fat. And I think to me, I think that's where the problem actually lies, is that
Mm,
most people on most diets are on high fat diets. And if you are
right.
on a high fat diet, then any kind of carbohydrate can cause more of an insulin spike and a higher sustained insulin spike, but it's not because of the fruit. It's because of the fat in the bloodstream and in the muscles and in the intercellular tissues and stuff. So I think that's part of the big reason why people don't get it, because most
because
people
of the
don't.
insulin
Yeah,
resistance.
exactly. And most
Mm.
people don't realize that most people on most diets are eating like 40% fat from their diet, and some people way more and some people a little less. But even when you go above like 15-20%, it starts impeding insulin function. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we try and have a really unified voice, oil-free, 100% oil-free, low-fat in this bundle, just to make that insulin response really great, because that's what brings the best results, not only in just terms of like athletic health or blood sugar maintenance, but also it helps people reverse diabetes and these blood sugar metabolic issues.
And it helps people have more energy
Yeah,
to, I hear a lot of people saying like above and beyond wanting to like manage their weight, a lot of people really struggle with having enough energy to get through their lives, through their days, if, their
hmm,
job, if they have, a family, or, if they have a lot of responsibilities, pets, like, a lot of things. And having that high fat diet can definitely, you know, bring you down for sure.
absolutely, absolutely. And I tell you, I mean, I got two kitties, and I often make excuses for doing other things because I just want to spend time with them. But no, I
Absolutely.
think in this fast-paced world, especially with more and more bombardment of social media and like do this, and to be successful you got to be super super busy, and like responsibilities and being on call at any moment of the day, it brings on more stressors and can wipe people out much more easily. And having
It's
our
true.
body, our temple streamlined to be able to utilize Mother Nature's gifts to us, the perfect food source that is just like instant energy and at the same time sustained energy because of the different fibers and the water content, is even more important, to help people understand that fruit isn't bad, it's not too high in sugar, it's not fattening, which we're going to go a lot more into, but that it is just an amazing food choice that there's no reason to be afraid of or feel guilty about eating in complete abundance.
Absolutely. And what's magical about it is that you can also gain weight with fruit if
Mhm.
that's your goal. Like you can either release
Absolutely.
weight or gain weight. It just like, modulate it to whatever goal you have, in regards to your health.
Absolutely. I definitely in my time have gained weight, not on purpose and also on purpose,
Hmm.
with fruit being the main calorie source. And I think it's kind of amazing, kind of funny, and kind of scary that people will say things like, well, bananas cause weight gain. It's like, how do bananas do that? Like, how do they specifically cause you weight gain when really weight gain and weight loss, for the absolute utmost part? I mean, there are some conditions that can cause weight gain, like thyroid issues and stuff like that. But for the largest percentage of reality, weight gain or weight loss is just simply calories in and calories out. And we know
Right.
fruits and veggies are some of the lower calorie foods per volume on the planet. So it's like,
Hmm.
how did the banana actually do that?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not really sure I understand where that information comes from, but
Yeah.
yeah, your book in the bundle is amazing, and it like helps to battle that type of information. The big banana book, I love it.
Thank you so much. I'm happy you do, and I hope a lot of people do, because I really want to dispel those myths for sure. And whether it's that or the ecological footprint, people are afraid of having fruit because it's shipped, and when you really look at the numbers and you figure it out, it's not a concern whatsoever. And it's only going to
I
get
was
better too.
I was just reading that before I hopped on. It was interesting that you put the graphic there that basically explains that on the chart, bananas emit zero point 0.7 units of greenhouse gas emissions, and beef emits 60
Hmm.
units, and that bananas have three times the calories. Beef has three times the calories as bananas per kilo. So basically, if you calculate it out, bananas emit 2.1 units of greenhouse gas emissions compared to beef at 60. So it's like beef is like emitting 30 times the greenhouse gas emissions as bananas. I thought
Yeah,
that was
and
really
you don't
nice to
hear
like,
people talking about that, and it doesn't even really matter where the beef is coming from. It's just that has to do with the amount of feed that the animals have, and then also the farting and all that other stuff. And it's that's even beyond all the other aspects we could really go into. But It is really astounding, and there's a lot of misinformation out there surrounding fruit, whether it
Mhm.
be, the transport and the ecological footprint, or, another one that is a hot topic we don't really need to get into, but people think that you shouldn't eat fruit if you're in a cold climate. You should only eat the foods that are, growing in your climate at that time of year, which I could talk for days about that, but that's not our topic here. But in the
Right.
banana book, we go into a lot of this kind of stuff and kind of bringing it back to weight management. When was the first time you really learned that fruit was not necessarily like a fattening food and you could eat more of it, and what impact did that have in your life?
Well, basically when I hit my all-time low, I had three kids. I had just had three kids. I stopped breastfeeding, so my weight was like coming back with a vengeance. And I have a little anecdote that's kind of crazy and kind of sad when you think about it. When I was breastfeeding my first child, I had this like craving for mandarins. And
Mhm.
like I'd buy like these huge bags of mandarins and I'd probably eat like 20 or 30 in one sitting. And um, a woman who I was working with on the breastfeeding, she was like, my son was very colicky, and she was like, "Oh, that's the mandarins. You need to stop eating them. Like,
Mhm.
I'm sure that like he's getting an upset stomach because you're eating so much citrus."
Mhm.
And so like I stopped because I believed her.
Mhm.
Like I hadn't done the training that I have, today under my belt. And it's just like a shame to think that like this woman actually stopped me from doing something that like I clearly my body was craving probably the calcium,
Mhm.
like all the hydration.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I after I had like these three kids and I had 35 pounds to lose and I had other health issues that were going on, I decided like I was already vegan, but I knew that I was not eating healthily. I was stress eating, a lot of emotional eating that kind of runs in the family. And so I studied raw vegan coaching with Karen Ramsey, and I also
Nice.
went back to get my degree as a naturopath. And that's when like I just experienced it. Like I started eating more fruits and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like my energy like skyrocketed, and I was just like, this is crazy. Like I wish I'd known this information before. And that's why I said like I think somewhere in my head I felt like I did have to be careful with eating too many fruits because I
Yeah.
wasn't. And then after like really looking at the subject and like experimenting with myself, that's when I was like, this is wild. Like I can't believe that more people don't live on a fruit-based diet. I mean, even if they don't go totally raw, like just eating like a majority of fruits is just like so key to
Mhm.
health in general.
Yeah.
um so yeah, that's when it started for me. Like that's when the
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And obviously it's working because you're still doing it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We just went to the market this morning and we bought a bicycle with two like bike packs on it. And I think I bought 18 kilos of apples. So yeah, almost 40 pounds of apples.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
um, yeah, we have local places where we can go, and I negotiate prices. Like people say, oh yeah, it's super expensive to buy fruits. Great example. I bought this huge crate of apples for 30 euros instead of 45 because I
Nice.
negotiated the price.
Yeah.
Um, and like, for example, like dried mango, I usually buy like a huge bag of it so that my kids can have that instead of
Yeah.
candy. Like a lot of kids, they see me eating candy every day, and I'm like, let's just go for the dried mango.
Mhm.
Huge 2.5 kilo bag for 30 euros.
Yeah.
And we had a friend say like, oh my God, like that's like 100 euros worth of mango there. And I was like, actually, it isn't. Like if you can find ways of finding, deals on fruit, it's just great for the family. So like for me, for my weight management and health management in general, for my children, and like I kind of see it as like, it's even weight management for them in the future because a lot of kids are able to eat whatever they want when they're young,
Yeah.
but as they get older, they've gotten into bad habits. So it's like we're teaching children at a young age how to regulate their health and maintain a healthy weight above and beyond other health issues, right from the get-go. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. It just sets them up for success. And I think one of the cool things about that as well is if they have that experience of eating fruits and vegetables, more of that during their upbringing, not only one, does their body identify with it, desire them, enjoy them, crave them more, But as they get older, they go to parties or blah, 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 right? And try different things, they'll more acutely feel that contrast, only reaffirm to them like, wow, that doesn't feel as good. Whereas other people that all their upbringing, they're just eating random stuff. It doesn't matter, they can go to anything else and it just keeps them on kind of the same page. Like I know for myself, I was raised with a lot of healthy food, but not all super health. And any junk food I could get, I ate as much as I could. And then when I moved out, I just went down south and just ate, the worst stuff I could, and it hit me so hard.
Oh,
So
did it?
I think, yeah, it really, really did. It didn't take took like a year and a half of like eating as bad as I could, like partially because I was poor, but also because I loved greasy, fatty, animal, gross stuff. When I was like 17 to 20,
Okay.
17 to 19 actually, but it only took that like 2.5 years or under 2 years actually, to go from pretty darn good and healthy and energetic to being like depressed and mildly suicidal and
Oh,
and
wow.
exhibiting major symptoms, and it was really harsh. So I mean, going back though, like having that upbringing is just such a powerful thing. And I mean, from the immune system to, like you said, weight management to just perspective on what food is, like it's it's always funny. I remember Dr. Graham, who he wrote the 80-10-10 diet. He's the guy who inspired me so much, and he's inspired so many people. I recommend that book too, Outside of the Bundle. It's a
Yeah, it's a great book.
bestseller, great book. I recommend it for everyone. But his daughter Francesca was, from conception to birth to, to her life, like she's been a raw vegan, right? And she didn't realize that bread was food that people ate until she was like, I think maybe it was before she was double digits, like when she was like a kid, like 7 or 8. She was like, why are people eating the birdie food? Because she'd seen people feed bread to birds, but she thought it was bird food,
Oh
because she didn't
my
see it,
gosh.
right? So it's just so amazing how we're brought up frames our perspective on life. And I think kind of going back to that original, I think that's also kind of part of the equation back there, with people just not really understanding it. So many people just look at fruit as a little treat or a side dish or a little dessert. And when they eat it as dessert, they get stomach upset, or because they're eating a high fat diet, if they overdo it, maybe they get a little bit kind of spacey feeling and they think, oh, it's the fruit, but they're not realizing it's because of the framework of their entire lifestyle and what they're eating.
Or maybe having like a summer barbecue, like you said, and then having like watermelon after all this high fat food, and
Yeah.
having a stomach ache, like you said, the food combining as
Yeah.
well.
It's huge. I've met so many people who like, I can't eat fruit because it gives me a stomach ache. It's like, oh, when did you eat it? And and other people too. And this is just so amazing. People who say, and I think this just exhibits the majesty of the human body and how amazing it is. People say like, oh, like I love that, but if I have more than one or two pieces, I just get sweeted out and like I get a head rush, or I just feel like off, like it's just too sweet, it's too sugary, right?
Hmm.
And then I ask them like, oh, what else do you eat? And like if we allow the time to actually kind of go through it, every single time they're on a really high fat diet, and the body gives those signals like, hey, I can't deliver this sugar to the cells, not because of the
Right.
sugar, it's because of the high fat diet. And as soon as you remove that and start removing the insulin resistance, people just love it and want to eat more of it and digest it better and feel better and better and better and more energetic, like you said, and start to have an easier time with weight management.
Hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
so how do you feel fruit plays a role in weight management, and for people that are, looking to lose a little bit of weight, do you feel like they should, still restrict fruit, or make sure to try not to eat too much because, you don't want to eat too many calories when you're losing weight, or what's your kind of view on that? What have you experienced?
My viewpoint on calorie restriction is you do not want to be restricting at all. And as you said before, I also believe that it's very important to lower the overall fat and intake, and usually protein intake as well, compared to what people, eat normally.
Yeah.
So when I work with people, I'll ask them to write out a food diary for 4 days, and I'll try to calculate out what's going on, and help them try to identify where they can be reducing the fat, reducing the protein. Like, are they cooking with oil? Are they eating like a lot of animal products, things like
Yeah.
that? I would say like people need to be eating as much fruit as possible, hands down.
Yeah.
And Obviously, like if they're trying to release weight, they may not want to like hit like a whole bag of dates and just like start with that. Like I would say like try to favor, the fresh fruit with like,
The water.
the hydration and as well, the water in it. But
Yeah.
of course, I think that like, a lot of people also struggle with like having a sweet tooth. So make dates can actually they helped me get over like chocolate. Like I used to eat like so much chocolate and just having that like super sweet date, it kind of replaced that sensation of wanting to have that, yeah, very
Mother
intense
Nature's
sweet taste.
candies, right? Mother Nature's candies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No,
So that's
100%.
just, I
Go
think
ahead.
we agree on the fruit thing.
No, absolutely. And it's interesting too, because we could go in so many directions on this. And I mean, the title of the talk is what I wrote was Effortless Weight Loss with an Abundance of Fruit. And I mean, it is effortless in many ways, but it is also a challenge in many ways as, bringing in a fruit-based lifestyle brings up everything in our life. It removes our Linus blanket, our thumb to suck on because it's digestively and nervous system less heavy. And so it requires less blood flow. So we tend to feel things a little bit more at the same time. So um,
Hmm.
it's kind of funny, right? Like when we're feeling amazing, fruit is the easiest choice and it's like the no-brainer. It's like I feel amazing, I want fruit. Like you just like so excited. But when things are tougher and things are feeling more dense and we're having a hard time, it's really common for like to attract like and for us to want to reach out to those heavier foods, right? Um,
Hmm.
so how do you feel that kind of has a part in this subject of like fruit and weight management?
I mean, I think that like emotions and weight management, that is like a huge, huge topic.
Huge.
And it can be really difficult for people, especially if they've gotten used to eating heavier foods, because there is a sensation in your body, like after you eat a heavy meal and like associating, eating a huge meal for Thanksgiving and Christmas and associating those moments with like maybe taking a nap and like
Mhm.
just the fact that like yeah, basically your blood flow is going straight to your digestive tract and you don't have to think about things, like you don't have to like think about things that are bothering you. So I actually like to work with flower elixirs as well, like in
Cool.
parallel to other things, that like help treat, help you with your emotions, how to get through them, how to support yourself. So
Hmm.
I think they're like, I mean, there's so many modalities, like obviously movement and like making sure you get good sleep. But I find that yeah, sometimes like people can benefit from having that extra little, help with those types of things. There's also phytotherapy, like gemotherapy is using the extract from different plant buds, and I believe it's fig. The extract of fig can actually be used when people are like wanting to eat a lot. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so there are different little tips and tricks that you can use to help people get past those emotions that can just come over them. And I mean, I also think that like when someone's trying to manage their weight and having issues with, with wanting to, with emotional eating, there's also like, you can use tapping, you can use,
Yeah.
breathing techniques. There are all sorts of ways of, supporting that process, like along with having all this delicious fruit.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely. And I think the beautiful thing there too is, the more fruits and veg that we eat, the more nourished we are, the more our body comes into a natural balance, which helps in general with those stressors and stuff like that. It's not obviously not going to be the be all end all fix, and there's going to be moments where we're stressed and we look at fruit and it's the last thing we want to eat. But in general, it just helps with overall health and vitality and nutrient assurance, which is
yes.
a beautiful thing as well.
And it changes the microbiome. I mean,
Huge.
like as you eat differently, it just totally adapts. Like it's
Mhm.
crazy. Like,
Yeah, which is our second brain, as they say, and responsible for so much of our hormonal system and our immune system and all those other things. So it's like it only streamlines us in that direction of more balance, not only with weight, but with our overall well-being, And
mhm,
when we were talking before about, calories in, calories out, and we talked about dates, for example, and kind of pigeoning it into emotional eating just a little bit. I had a consult in the past who was on a raw food diet, and we talked about how you can gain weight or lose weight. Some people claim you
mhm,
can't gain weight on fruit, and you can. is just genuinely pretty hard. Um, but what happened with them, they did gain weight eating fruit, and they're trying to figure it out. And we talked, and what it turned out was they were eating pretty close to the caloric needs for keeping the weight that they would have wanted, you know.
Hmm.
But then in between every meal, they're snacking on dates to the point where they're eating a pound of dates per day on top of their
Wow.
other foods.
A
And so it kind of went back
pound
to
of
that
dates.
pound of dates per day. And I mean, that much obviously is going to be tough on the teeth, but that's also like an extra like 1,600 calories that they were basically emotionally eating. And what I've really found with fruit is really in order to gain weight on it, you either have to kind of force it, like push it pretty hard, also be kind of working out if you want to gain muscle, not just, you know, not fat tissue, uh, or really kind of be emotional eating it, you know, like, but when we're talking about abundance, you know, like abundance and desire and enjoyment, I think those can really go hand in hand. Like when you're enjoying fruit, it's really hard to overdo it. It really becomes, I find, I don't know, let me know your experience. I really find it almost takes eating past enjoyment to the point where you feel like you're forcing it. Hello.
Sorry, you just woke up from a
Oh,
nap.
oh, there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you worked with this person. What were you able to provide them to for the emotional eating?
Well, you know, really the main thing was just recognizing how much extra calories that was, and that is not the most effective way of you know, curbing those kind of intense feelings, and instead any number. It was actually quite a long time ago, so I don't remember this exact specific, but we talked about it and went through it, and they found their route to letting go of that and found weight loss a lot easier to get to their healthy body weight.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I mean it can be I think I was actually watching a video that Lissa had made, not even recently, where she said that she'd read a study about how people tend to eat like, you know, a similar like volume of food
Hmm.
regardless of what they're eating. So I guess that makes sense if the person is like, oh, I better replace these dates with like, you know, apples instead. That
Hmm.
could definitely help out just because it
Absolutely.
takes like,
Yeah,
uh-oh. Buddy, why
I
don't you
think
go see
that's
Papa? Huh? Did you go see Papa? They're playing Legos downstairs. Ah,
I, I think
sorry
that's
about that.
often no worries at all. I think that's often a major factor in the opposite case, because obviously we're talking about weight loss. So for people coming into the lifestyle when they want to lose weight, but on the opposite side of that, sometimes people can come into the diet, maybe from that same place, but after a while on the diet, end up losing too much weight and kind of going into that volume thing and kind of fear of fruit, whether it's like known and conscious or whether it's kind of subconscious, you know, under eating fruit and like just feeling again kind of like it's a snack and only eating a little bit of it and really not getting enough calories because they're afraid either whether it's the sugar or just of eating volume. Because I don't know about you, but I've definitely seen in my coaching a lot of people just have fear of eating too much, or sometimes even people have fear of like working out. It's the exact polar opposites because eating too much, they're afraid that they're gonna get overweight with fat or otherwise be perceived as like a picky eating too much. They don't want
Right.
that social kind of view. And then working out, they're afraid that they're just gonna automatically get giant.
Big,
And
huge
you know,
muscles.
too like especially for women. And the
Mm.
reality of both of those things is each of them takes quite a while. It's not gonna just change and be like, oh my God, I'm here. Now what can I do? It's like a slow progression, and you can decide to fine tune your weight or your muscle size with either of those disciplines, you know, slowly and consciously. And there's no real need to fear that.
Absolutely. That's interesting that you said people are afraid of eating too much because of how they are perceived by others.
Yeah.
I've actually gotten comments from people around me, like I've brought like, you know, a huge salad to a party before, like as my meal.
Yeah.
And I've had lots of people like, oh my God, you eat so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I don't really care what other people think of me, but I can imagine someone who is a little bit more concerned about that type of a thing being, you know, put off by it because I got a lot of comments. I was like, wow, that's interesting that people are, you know, so shocked by my
Yeah,
meal.
no, I've had that reaction many times, and I've even had the reaction of like, wow, that's so much that can't be healthful. You know, like you can't like many times I've had people say that, and I'm like, well, it seems to
Oh
be
wow.
working, you know, and also I really enjoy it. You know, like that's, I think, when we're talking about abundance and like weight management and stuff, it's like I just feel so genuinely blessed that I can eat my face off of like my favorite foods. Like I don't restrict at all. I eat every meal until I have the proverbial stick a fork in me. I'm just like I can eat my face off and always have like a trim figure. I guess most
Hmm.
guys don't say trim figure. I'll say a six pack.
Yeah. I mean, that you just brought up a great point. It is also eating raw or high raw is also an excellent way of, being able to eat to your heart's content. And I think that a lot of people that who do struggle with weight gain are people that tend to like to eat, larger portions and feel a little bit more free with their eating. So it is very compatible in that respect. I mean,
Absolutely.
speaking from a personal perspective as
Yeah.
well.
I really do think like that we have three main modes of satiation, and that we are always looking to fulfill those three modes. And one of
Hmm.
them is volume. Like we're designed to want to eat volumes of food, and one of them is calories and one of them is nutrition. But it's just so beautiful with fruit that it's so low in calories per volume, but high in nutrition per calorie that we get really satiated. Like we get really satiated. So when we're coming off of other foods that are the exact polar opposite, low volume, high calorie, low nutrition, you know, it takes a while to actually realize, accept, and for our body to adapt to that exact opposite thing of like,
With
being
engineered
satisfied
chemicals,
and can be,
with
yeah,
engineered chemicals in them, like MSG and other things.
absolutely. Absolutely, all the pleasure trap things that just make our
Mm.
mind go ding ding ding, right? So it stands to reason that people can sometimes undereat fruit, but at the same time that's just from a physical. And then when you double in fear of fruit, it's important that we're spreading this message and helping people realize that fruit isn't something to fear, and you can eat a lot of it. You can eat as much as you enjoy, and it's only going to help you in your weight gain goals. Like kind of going back to when people say like, oh, bananas are fattening. And you're like, well, if somebody's, let's say eating 20 bananas a day, and then they're also eating, a giant salad with like a cup of olive oil on it, is it the bananas that are fattening? Like, again, kind of
Right.
how do they say what is fattening? It's just like, what is the easiest way of getting excess calories? And for most people, getting excess calories isn't from the fruit that they eat.
Yes, absolutely. So you you're living in Sweden. Could you give people some advice on how to like, buy fruit, stock up on fruit if they're living in a country where I mean, maybe you have a great sources of fruit where you're living. Like, I'm just assuming that it's harder or more expensive to get fruit. Is that true?
No, not at all.
Mhm.
I'm definitely a fruit hunter, and I'm like a bloodhound when it comes to fruit. So it's one of my favorite things to do when I go to a new city is to check out the markets and talk to people and ask where different ethnic markets are, ask if there's wholesalers, anything like that. And I usually find them pretty quickly. In fact, out here, I managed to find wholesalers, and I have friends who've lived here for their whole life, and they didn't even know about them, but I found them in the first year and a half living
Oh
here.
well.
So um, when I'm here, and that's kind of like the big tip there is like talk to people, like ask and ask if there are wholesalers, ask if there's farmers markets, ask if there's different ethnic grocers that have different varieties of fruits and vegetables that you've never tried or that you want and you're looking for. And you'll be surprised because you'll find people that are passionate about produce and fruit as well, and who will have other information and connections you never had before. And so here in Malmo, Sweden, the two main places I go, like there's a bunch of grocery stores, and I like to have a lot of different places for different stuff, right? So there's the general grocery stores I might go to for the little items here and there. But for the bulk of what I do, I buy by the case, or I buy large amounts of a handful of ingredients at a time. So I have like the base of my diet. And then again, I go to the other places just for little bits of my diet. And here are the two main places I go for bulk. One is a farmer's market, which is kind of funny because, like, in my mind, a farmer's market is local produce. But this say there's like 12 booths, maybe one or two or three is local, and the rest is actually imported from wholesalers and is different stuff. But it's really good because it's super inexpensive. I guess it ranges. You can get inexpensive, or you can get really higher priced imported items from, say, like, durians to dragon fruits and stuff, and those are going to be more. You can get general stuff for cheaper, and then also there's the wholesale market I go to. It's called Zia Frucht AB, and it's a wholesaler, but they allow you to sell to buy as a public individual, but also because I have my business registered out here.
Oh, nice.
um, I also use my business register, so I mean it's partial a write-off, right? Um, so I just go there with my business account, and like I said, though, you can ask. I've been to multiple cities around the world to different wholesalers, and some of them require a business license, and some of them don't. So it really pays to ask and to talk,
Mhm.
and even if you don't have a business license, and if a wholesaler requires you to have a business license, a tip for that is either to befriend or check if you have a friend who has a restaurant or a small grocery store, or talk to the people at the restaurant or the small grocery store and ask if they can put extra stuff on their order, or if you can buy by the case in that grocery store, because that saves you a lot of money. But
You just
yeah,
gave me a good idea. I have a friend who actually owns a couple of grocery stores. I'm like, why didn't I think of that before?
nice. There we go. And that's
Yeah.
that's the ticket, because it may be too that a little grocery store, they get the regular stuff that they get, but if you go to them and go like, "Hey, like, can you access like these like Indian mangoes, or this fruit that maybe they don't have?" And you get a couple cases and they try them out, and then they're like, "Oh, I want more of these myself." And
Hmm.
it becomes a kind of a give and take relationship, and it also just strengthens that relationship, which can be fun too. And but yeah, like out here in Sweden, on average, I'm paying about less than 300 euros a month, and I'm eating complete abundance, like as much as I want on average.
Your groceries are less than 300 euros a month?
Yeah, yeah, usually between
Wow.
250 to 350.
Are you serious? That's
Yeah,
really low.
yeah,
That's
yeah. No,
really low.
I mean that's what helps going to the wholesalers. But I will also say, like, Um, and I find, and this is just a generalization, right? But I find a lot of times when people are new to the diet, they look for lots of variety and exotic specialties, expensive stuff. For me now, like, this really is just food. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about nutrition, and I don't need every meal to be amazing. And I often eat the same thing all the time. So, like, for example, I went to the market, and it was before the bundle. I wanted to get bananas because I wanted to be abundant in bananas. But the cases of bananas were, what is that, 19 kilograms. They were the equivalent of $25 for 19 kilograms. And I'm like, no, that's too expensive.
Oh,
I'm not going
wow.
to get the bananas then, because I'm getting them usually for about $18 and sometimes less. And
Oh, wow. Okay.
instead though, they had dates, and I got 6 kilos of dates, which ends up being almost a month worth of lunch meals. Or wait, no, I'm mistaken there. Six, not a month's worth. But anyways, I got 6 kilos of dates for $14, and it was
Wow.
way, way
That's
more cost
insane.
effective. So yeah, no, that's why I mixed it up, because I got 12 kilos. I got two cases of them. So I got 12 kilos for $24, and,
Okay.
so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to get that and fill my fridge with dates and have date smoothies instead, and the iceberg was on sale. So I got a case of iceberg, and I'm going to eat iceberg most nights for 10 days or 12 days until I go back again. And I typically go back there usually 2 to 3 times a month, and I just get whatever is perking my
Right.
ears and whatever's a good deal. And I'm not saying that I won't splurge, because I will splurge when things are like, when it just really, I really want it. But for at least half my calories, I usually deal shop and just get stuff that, like, I can be eating an entire lunch meal for $2 for the whole meal, so that obviously really trims down my budget.
Yeah. We, after you said you were spending 300 a month, I think we spend about the same, and there are five
Yeah.
of us. It's just that since there are five of us, it seems like a lot
A
more,
lot
but
more.
yeah, it makes sense. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. And
I
I
mean,
mean,
that's really cost effective. That's definitely, I mean, I'm sure if you were eating meat, fish, and dairy, I mean, I don't see how it could be any less than that, if not more. I mean,
when I ate out at restaurants, and when I smoked a pack of cigarettes a day, and when I tried to drink every night if I could, even though I was really broke, all my money was going towards my diet and that lifestyle, and now I'm always saving, because I try to live, in a way that gives me everything I need, but isn't super extravagant, so that I have the extra to be extravagant in the ways I want to be, So,
Right.
and I have some months where I probably spend about 200, and I have some where I might spend 400 or 500, but I just kind of roll with it. And I'll admit, I'm kind of a deal shopper. I'm not quite like my grandma who cut the coupon code out of every single newspaper and every single soup can label. And, but I definitely love looking for deals and talking with the produce guys and trying to figure it out and, buy in bulk so I can get better prices. Because, like I said, to me, it's fun. And then also it allows me to have extra money for other stuff, whether that's the future or for some other splurges, in life.
Sounds like a good way of living to me.
Not too bad. It's not too bad. How's the produce out there? And do you find a lot of variety? And
We're very fortunate in France. Like there are a lot of really amazing heirloom varieties. Like talking about fruit, like tomatoes are one of my favorite fruits.
you
And
get
in the
good ones out
summer,
there.
it's just like you can get these like huge. Like I just bought probably like 5 tomatoes, like literally this size, just like beautiful, like totally irregular tomatoes that probably couldn't be sold to a lot of people, but extremely delicious, extremely sweet. And there's I go to an organic shop and they're really, they're careful about like taking things that don't have too much packaging, not excess plastic, supporting local farmers. Like I said, like apples like are in abundance. I've heard people say in the past, "Oh, apples are so boring." Like honestly, they're not.
They can
I
be
mean, there's so
really
many
tasty.
varieties of apples,
Mhm.
and I understand if you, are used to getting your apples at like, wherever you get them. When I'm in Maine, for example, sometimes I will buy things at Walmart just because the prices are
It's
not
good.
super high. I'm not excited about supporting Walmart, but I do
No.
sometimes go. So
Yeah, I hear
you
you.
do what you have to do to survive. I'm
Yeah.
not judging anyone, but when you're used to going to that type of store, like I can understand why you wouldn't think that apples were that amazing. Like here, there are like I don't know, 10 different varieties of apples. They grow kiwi in France and kiwi. I actually had been getting fruit from a place called Fruit Stock. It's like
Oh,
an
cool.
association, and they have like they basically like bring in a bunch of fruit from Spain and Portugal,
Mhm.
and like they bring it up in crates and they deliver it at one person's home. And then you just go to that person's house and they weigh it out for you, and the
Oh,
prices are insane.
like a
The prices are
kind of like
insane.
a coupe. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's like it's really amazing. I need to like try to get in touch with them because like I had someone not even like 5 minutes away that was like getting the cases of fruit in their home, but they stopped. So like I had to go for Christmas, for example. I drove. It's not super sustainable, but I drove like an hour and a half to go get fruit from Fruit Stock because I wanted to have a bunch for Christmas. But I did pack the entire trunk of my car with like mangoes and like pomegranates and bananas and
I tell you, that's a
cinnamon.
heck of a lot better than having various places ship them directly to you. You go, you grab the bunch, and we were talking back about the CO2 emissions of different food choices. It's still the most economical choice you could make.
Right. And I spent the day at the beach, so I
Yeah,
wasn't just going for that. Like I actually spent the day at the beach and saw some people, so it was great. But yeah, Fruit Stock is an amazing deal. Like if you are living in France and listening to this video, I would look it up and sign up for it because yeah, really cheap prices for
that's
fruit. So
awesome.
yeah, I feel very fortunate.
That's That's awesome. That's what it's made of. When I was in Paris, I was blown away by the varieties of tomatoes. And when you're talking about tomatoes, I had a little teeny cry because they're still kind of just like pretty bland right now, and it's not quite tomato season hitting us yet. But I agree, when tomatoes are good, they're one of the best foods on the planet. I love them. Oh,
Mhm.
they're so darn good. They're so darn good. So I'm just wondering, to round this out, I mean, unless there's something specific you want to talk about, um, what would you say, and we can touch that up after,
Mhm.
um, what would you say would be some of your biggest kind of tips for people who are looking to lose weight and come into more balance with their diet and their weight in general, but maybe they're on the fringe, not sure about this and fruit and stuff like that.
I would say it's an excellent question.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that for me, the number one tip I would have for someone who's struggling with weight gain, or like, wanting to manage the weight that they're at, I would recommend trying to get like allow yourself to get excited about fruits, like go to a fruit market, check out fruits maybe that you've never even tried before, or, invest a little bit more in fruits that you really love.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you're getting excited about these foods, it's going to help you rather than like focusing on what you shouldn't be eating or don't want to be eating. If you really try to take that focus and focus on what you are loving,
Yeah.
that you know is good for you,
Yeah.
I think that would be like the biggest piece to the puzzle for me. And then I think that food prep is super important. Like if you're going out, just try to have fruit in your bag, washed and ready to eat, like, or bananas you can just buy anywhere. But if you have like, if you're on a family outing, sometimes I'll just take a huge Ziploc bag and I'll wash like 10 apples and I'll throw them in my bag, and maybe I'll take a knife with me. And that like has saved me so many times from like, being hungry and not knowing what to eat. Like I just have it ready, or a bag of figs, a bag of dates. Like, I'd say number two would be food prep, and just have it with you. Just, have it be a part of your backpack contents.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's huge tips that I've definitely found important in my journey as well. And it's in my journey, and this goes back to times before, but I found in my previous life, I'd make poor decisions if I was drunk. And now it'd be as I went into raw food, I'd make poor decisions if I was really hungry and no food. So it's like be prepared, and know what your trigger points are, right? And like
You
you
go
said,
grocery
having
shopping
food on hand. Exactly.
and you're hungry.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably better to pre-eat before you go shopping, or pre-eat before you go to maybe a bit of a challenging social or family event or something, just to make sure you kind of are baseline going in there and still be prepared and bring a lot of stuff just to make it a heck of a lot easier, hey?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's definitely a good
Awesome.
tip.
Awesome. Well, it's been a definite pleasure. Is there anything else you want to go into before I bid you adieu and get to my breakfast?
Everyone watching this, try Chris's recipes, all of these amazing banana recipes. That
Awesome.
was my last tip.
And for everyone else to enjoy your book and color some in the pictures. It's really, really beautiful. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it, and we need more people from all ages enjoying this lifestyle, and every way we can connect is absolutely the best, right? So
I totally
thank you
agree.
so much, Alanna, for being a part and also for inviting me to do this live with you. It was lots of fun.
Oh, thank you, Chris, and bon appetit. I hope you enjoy your
I think
breakfast.
it's going to be a banana-y, lunchy breakfast, so I will.
Nice.
All right.
And
Have a
thanks
great
everyone for
day.
listening.
Thanks, everyone. Much love.
Bye.
An extra piece of love and seasonal fruit. Be sure to check out the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle while it's still available.